The morning sun was just breaking over the Montana hills when Commander Zethkar saw Earth for the first time. His massive warship hung in the sky like a dark cloud, casting shadows over the human military base below. Zethkar stood on his ship's bridge, his purple skin gleaming under the alien lights. His forearms moved quickly over the control panels as he prepared for what he thought would be an easy victory. Another primitive world, Zethkar said to his lieutenant, Vexmore. Look at their simple buildings, their weak weapons. This will be over before the sun sets. Zethkar had good reason to feel confident. His Vortanian empire had conquered 47 worlds. Every time, it was the same story. The aliens would land, show their superior weapons, and the native species would surrender. The Vortanians had energy weapons that could melt steel like butter. Their armor could stop bullets like they were raindrops. Each Vortanian warrior was genetically made to be stronger, faster, and smarter than most species in the galaxy. Down at the military base, Sergeant Jake Miller was teaching a group of new soldiers how to set up camp. Jake was a tough man with scars on his hands and a serious look in his eyes. He had fought in 3 wars before this day, but he had never seen anything like the massive ship that suddenly appeared above them. "What the hell is that?" shouted Private Kevin Jones, pointing at the sky. Jake grabbed his radio. "Base command, we have an unknown aircraft overhead, requesting immediate backup." But before anyone could respond, smaller ships began dropping, from the mothership like deadly rain. They landed with thunderous crashes around the base, kicking up clouds of dust and debris. The first Vortanian warriors stepped out of their ships, and Jake felt his blood run cold. They were massive creatures, nearly 8 feet tall, with thick purple skin and 4 powerful arms. Each one carried weapons that hummed with energy, and their armor looked like nothing Jake had ever seen. Humans of this base. Zethkar's voice boomed from speakers on his ship. "You are now under the control of the Vortanian Empire. Surrender immediately and you will not be harmed. Resist and you will be destroyed." Jake looked at his 12 soldiers. They were young, scared, and completely outgunned. Any reasonable person would surrender. These aliens had technology that seemed like magic. Their weapons could probably level the entire base in minutes. But Jake Miller was not a reasonable person. He was a soldier who had learned one important lesson in all his years of fighting: never give up without making the enemy pay a price. "Listen up," Jake whispered to his men. "We can't fight these things head to head, but we can make them work for every inch of ground they take. Scatter and hide. Use everything you learned about guerrilla warfare. Make them afraid to walk around corners." Private Lisa Park, barely 19 years old, looked terrified. "Sergeant, their weapons are too powerful. How can we fight them?" "The same way humans have always fought when they're outgunned," Jake replied. "We get creative." The Vortanians advanced on the base in perfect formation, just like they had done on 47 other worlds. Zethkar expected the humans to either run away or surrender within the first hour. Instead, something strange happened. The first Vortanian squad reached the main building and prepared to enter. As they walked through the doorway, a simple wire trap triggered a massive explosion. The blast was made from nothing more than some spare fuel and old electronics, but it was perfectly placed. 2 Vortanian warriors were killed instantly, and 3 more were badly wounded. "Impossible," Zethkar muttered. "How did they know exactly where to place that trap?" Lieutenant Vexmore checked his scanner. "Commander, the humans have vanished. They are not in any of the buildings." That was when the real nightmare began for the Vortanians. The humans had not disappeared. They had simply learned to fight like ghosts. Jake Miller and his soldiers used every trick they had learned in years of fighting. They crawled through drainage pipes under the base. They hid in air vents and attacked from above. They used mirrors to reflect sunlight into alien eyes at crucial moments. Most importantly, they used the Vortanians' own confidence against them. The aliens expected humans to fight like civilized soldiers, standing in lines and shooting at each other. Instead, Jake's men fought like cornered animals. They set traps, using nothing but wire and explosives made from cleaning supplies. They attacked and then vanished before the aliens could respond. They made noise in one place and attacked from another. Private Danny Torres crawled under a truck and waited for 2 hours until a group of Vortanians walked by. Then he rolled a grenade under their feet and disappeared into a drainage ditch. Before they knew what hit them, Corporal Amy White used an old hunting trick her father had taught her. She made a trail of false footprints leading to an empty building, then attacked the aliens from behind when they followed the fake trail. By noon, Zethkar had lost 6 warriors to an enemy force less than half his size. This had never happened before. On every other world, superior technology had meant quick victory, but these humans seemed to treat superior technology as just another problem to solve. The breaking point came when Lieutenant Vexmore was killed by the simplest trap imaginable. Private Mike Brown had tied a wire across a doorway at exactly the right height. When the tall alien walked through, the wire caught his neck and triggered a small explosive. The blast was barely powerful enough to damage the alien's armor, but it was perfectly placed to hit the one weak spot in his helmet. Zethkar found his lieutenant's body and stared at the simple wire that had killed him. It was made from spare parts that could be found in any human building. There was nothing high-tech about it. It had just been placed by someone who understood exactly how the alien moved and where he was vulnerable. Commander, one of his surviving warriors reported, "The humans are coordinating their attacks. They seem to know where we are going before we get there." Zethkar realized something that sent a chill through his alien blood. These humans were not just fighting to defend their base. They were studying his warriors, learning their patterns, and adapting their tactics in real time. Every attack taught them something new about how to kill Vortanians more effectively. As the sun began to set on the first day, Zethkar controlled the base, but he had learned a terrible lesson. Conquering the buildings was easy. Conquering the humans who defended them was something else entirely. The humans had not surrendered. They had not run away. Instead, they had turned his easy victory into a nightmare of constant danger and death. And somehow Zethkar knew this was only the beginning. The second day of fighting brought something Zethkar had never experienced in 47 conquests. As his warriors carefully moved through the base, checking every shadow and corner, they found Dr. Lisa Carter hiding in the underground storage room. She was not a soldier, just a woman in her 40s with gray hair and scared eyes clutching a tablet computer to her chest. "Bring her to me," Zethkar ordered. Perhaps this human can explain why her people refused to surrender. Dr. Carter was dragged to the command center that the Vortanians had set up in the main building. When she saw Zethkar, she tried to hide her fear, but her hands were shaking. The alien commander was even more frightening up close, with his 4 muscular arms and cold yellow eyes. "Human female," Zethkar said in broken English. "You will tell me about your military leaders. Where are they hiding? How do we make them surrender?" Lisa looked at the alien commander and almost laughed, but it came out as a nervous cough. "You don't understand. There are no military leaders hiding. What you saw yesterday? That's just how we fight." Zethkar leaned forward, his 4 hands gripping the table. "Impossible. Those were advanced military tactics, coordinated guerrilla warfare. Your soldiers must have special training." "I'm a military historian," Lisa said, finding her courage. "I've studied human warfare for 20 years. What Jake Miller and his men did yesterday wasn't special forces training. It was just 12 ordinary soldiers doing what humans do when someone tries to kill them." The alien commander's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Lisa took a deep breath. She realized that this alien had no idea what he had walked into. "Commander, may I ask you something? On the other worlds you conquered, what happened when you showed up with superior weapons?" "They surrendered," Zethkar replied immediately. "All intelligent species surrender when faced with overwhelming force. It is logical." "That's where you're wrong about humans," Lisa said. "We're not logical when we're cornered. We're the opposite. The more hopeless our situation becomes, the more dangerous we get." She opened her tablet and showed him a picture. "This is the Battle of Thermopylae over 2,000 years ago. 300 Spartan warriors faced an army of hundreds of thousands. They knew they were going to die, but instead of surrendering, they fought until every single one was dead. They held off that massive army for 3 days. Zethkar stared at the image. "That is not logical behavior." "No, it's not," Lisa agreed. "But it's human behavior. Let me show you more. She scrolled through more images. Stalingrad, 1942. The city was surrounded. The people were starving and enemy forces had better weapons and more soldiers. But the humans didn't surrender. Civilians picked up kitchen knives and fought tanks. Grandmothers threw bottles of gasoline at armored vehicles. Children carried messages through sewers while bombs fell around them. The alien commander watched in growing confusion as Lisa showed him image after image. Humans fighting impossible odds. Humans turning everyday objects into weapons. Humans dying rather than giving up. Here's Warsaw, 1943, Lisa continued. A small group of people with almost no weapons decided to fight an entire army. They knew they couldn't win. They fought anyway. They used the sewers, just like Jake's men used the drainage pipes yesterday. They made bombs from soap and acid, just like Mike Brown made explosives from cleaning supplies. This makes no sense, Zethkar muttered. Why would they choose death over surrender? Because that's what humans do, Lisa said simply. We've been the prey species for most of our evolution. Big cats, bears, other humans. Everything wanted to eat us or kill us, so we learned to fight dirty. We learned to use our brains instead of our muscles. And most importantly, we learned never to give up. While Lisa was explaining human history to the confused alien commander, something much more dangerous was happening around the world. Staff Sergeant Danny Rodriguez had managed to keep one radio hidden from the Vortanians. Throughout the night, he had been in contact with military bases across the planet. The news was both terrible and encouraging. Vortanian scouting forces had landed at military bases in 12 countries. In every single location, the same thing was happening. The aliens would land, expect quick surrender, and instead find themselves in bloody fights with humans who refused to quit. Rodriguez here, Danny whispered into his radio. What's the situation at Fort Carson? Bad and good, came the reply from Colorado. We lost the main base in 4 hours, but we're still fighting from the mountains. These aliens don't know how to deal with mountain warfare. We're picking them off one by one. Similar reports came from around the world. In Germany, soldiers were using World War II bunkers that the aliens didn't know existed. In Japan, forces were using ancient samurai fortress designs to create killing zones. In Australia, troops were disappearing into the outback and launching hit-and-run attacks. But the most important thing Danny was hearing was that humans were sharing information. Every successful tactic, every weakness discovered in alien armor, every mistake the Vortanians made was being passed from base to base around the world. Listen up, everyone, Danny broadcast to the network. The aliens have a weak spot in their helmet right behind the left ear. Tommy in Texas confirmed it. Also, their energy weapons overheat after 12 shots. Count their shots and attack when they're reloading. Back in the command center, Zethkar was becoming more disturbed by everything Lisa told him. She showed him stories of humans in impossible situations who chose to fight rather than surrender. She explained how human children learned about these battles in school, how every human grew up knowing that their ancestors had faced hopeless odds and kept fighting. You want to know the really scary part? Lisa asked. Everything I've shown you happened when humans were fighting each other. We've never had a common enemy before. We've never had a reason for every human on Earth to work together. Zethkar felt something he had never experienced before. Real fear. What do you mean? Check your communications, Lisa said with a sad smile. See what's happening around your planet. The alien commander activated his monitoring systems and began scanning human radio frequencies around Earth. What he found made his blood run cold. Instead of governments surrendering or populations panicking, he was hearing something that defied all logic. Every human military force on the planet was sharing information. Tactics that worked in Montana were being used in Germany within hours. Weapons that damaged Vortanian armor in Australia were being built in Canada by the end of the day. More terrifying still, civilian populations weren't running away. They were organizing. Farmers were welding armor onto tractors. Factory workers were modifying industrial equipment into weapons. Computer programmers were trying to hack alien technology. This is impossible, Zethkar whispered. Conquered populations. should be hiding or fleeing. They should not be organizing resistance. Commander, Lisa said quietly, I don't think you understand what you've done. You haven't conquered a planet. You've given every human being on Earth the same enemy. For the first time in our history, we're all fighting on the same side. As the second day ended, Zethkar realized that his easy conquest had become something much more dangerous. He hadn't just failed to defeat the humans quickly. He had accidentally created the one thing that had never existed before, a united human race with a single purpose. And that purpose was learning how to kill Vortanians. On the third day, Captain Amy Foster arrived at the base with a small team under a white flag. Zethkar had been expecting this moment. Finally, a human leader coming to surrender. But when Amy walked into the command center, she didn't look defeated. She looked curious, like a scientist studying an interesting specimen. Commander Zethkar, Amy said calmly, I'm Captain Foster, military psychologist. I'm here to discuss terms. Finally, Zethkar replied, relief flooding through him. You wish to surrender your forces. Amy smiled, and there was something in that smile that made the alien commander uncomfortable. No, Commander. I'm here to understand you. You see, we've been studying your species for 3 days now, and we're fascinated by how you think. Zethkar's 4 hands clenched into fists. You are in no position to study us, human. We have superior weapons, superior armor, superior numbers. Do you? Amy asked, pulling out a small device. Let me show you something interesting. The device projected a hologram showing casualty reports from around the world. In every location where Vortanians had landed, they had initially taken control of the target areas, but in every single case they were losing warriors at an alarming rate to human resistance. 73 of your warriors dead in the first 3 days, Amy said matter-of-factly. That's a higher casualty rate than any army in human history has sustained while winning territory. You're conquering empty buildings while we're learning how to kill you more efficiently every hour. Zethkar stared at the numbers in disbelief. Impossible. We have the superior technology. That's your first mistake, Amy replied. You think technology wins wars. Humans learned long ago that wars are won by whoever adapts fastest to changing conditions. Amy began walking around the room, studying the alien equipment with professional interest. Commander, can I ask you about your species' evolution? How did the Vortanians become the dominant species on your world? We were the strongest, Zethkar said proudly. We had 4 arms where others had 2. We were larger, more intelligent, better hunters. Ah, Amy nodded. So you were apex predators from the beginning. No natural enemies. That explains so much. Explains what? Amy turned to face him directly. Commander, humans evolved differently. We weren't the strongest or the fastest or the most dangerous species on our planet. We were prey animals who learned to think our way out of being eaten. She activated another hologram showing Earth's ancient history. Big cats with claws like knives, bears that could crush our skulls with one swipe, other human tribes that wanted our territory, diseases that killed entire populations, ice ages that froze our food supply. For millions of years, everything on Earth was trying to kill us. Zethkar watched the images with growing unease. How did your species survive? By becoming the most dangerous predators in the galaxy, Amy said simply. But not through strength or natural weapons. Through our minds. We learned to turn everything around us into a weapon. We learned to work together against larger threats. Most importantly, we learned that survival isn't about being stronger than your enemy. It's about being more creative. Amy showed him more images. Humans using fire to hunt massive mammoths. Humans building traps to catch animals 10 times their size. Humans creating weapons from simple stones and sticks that could kill any creature on the planet. Every tool we ever invented was designed to kill something that was trying to kill us, Amy continued. Agriculture, we created it to feed armies. The wheel, we put it on war chariots. Mathematics, we used it to calculate how to throw spears more accurately. Every single advancement in human civilization has been driven by warfare. The alien commander was beginning to understand something terrible. You are saying your entire species is designed for war. Not designed for it, Amy corrected. Shaped by it. Forged by it. War isn't something humans do. War is what made us human. She pulled out another device and showed him recent footage from around the world. Humans were dismantling captured Vortanian equipment and reverse engineering it. In laboratories across the planet, scientists were analyzing alien technology and finding ways to defeat it. In China, they've figured out how to jam your communications, Amy reported. In Russia, they've created electromagnetic pulse weapons using car batteries and spare wire. In America, engineers are building armor-piercing rounds specifically designed to penetrate your battlesuits. Zethkar felt his confidence cracking. This is impossible. It has been only 3 days. Commander, let me tell you the most frightening thing about humans, Amy said, her voice becoming softer and more serious. We don't just fight to win, we fight to evolve. Every conflict makes us stronger, smarter, more deadly. Every enemy teaches us new ways to kill. She showed him historical footage of human technological development during wartime. World War II lasted 6 years. In that time, humans went from simple propeller planes to jet aircraft, from basic radios to radar systems, from conventional explosives to nuclear weapons. War doesn't slow down human progress, it accelerates it beyond belief. Amy walked closer to the alien commander. Do you know what we call it when an entire species threatens humanity's survival? We call it an extinction event, and humans have survived multiple extinction events. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, plague outbreaks. We've survived them all. Do you know how? Zethkar remained silent, but his yellow eyes showed his growing fear. By becoming the extinction event ourselves, Amy said quietly. When something threatens to wipe out humanity, we don't just fight it. We study it, understand it, and then we eliminate it so completely that it can never threaten us again. She activated one final hologram showing global human military production. Your invasion has accomplished something that no human leader has ever managed. You've united every nation, every military, every scientist, every engineer on the planet, under one goal, learning how to extinct the Vortanian Empire. The images showed weapons factories running 24 hours a day, research laboratories sharing data across all national boundaries, military forces from enemy nations working together for the first time in human history. Commander, Amy said, you haven't invaded Earth. You've accidentally created the largest, most motivated military research project in human history. And the subject of that research is how to kill every single member of your species. Zethkar looked at the data scrolling across the hologram. Production numbers that seemed impossible. Scientific breakthroughs happening in days instead of years. Military cooperation between nations that had been enemies just a week ago. This cannot be real, he whispered. Oh, it's real, Amy assured him. And it's accelerating. Every hour you stay on Earth, humans learn something new about how to fight Vortanians. Every warrior you lose teaches us more about your weaknesses. Every piece of technology we capture gets reverse engineered and improved. She leaned forward, and her voice carried a note of almost scientific fascination. Commander, you represent the greatest learning opportunity in human history. An entirely new type of enemy with new technology, new tactics, new biology. We're not going to waste this chance. Amy smiled again, and this time, Zethkar clearly saw what made that smile so terrifying. It wasn't the smile of a defeated enemy, or even an angry one. It was the smile of a predator that had found interesting new prey. The question isn't whether humans can defeat the Vortanian Empire, Amy said softly. The question is how much we'll learn from the process, and what we'll become once we're finished. For the first time in his life, Zethkar understood what it felt like to be hunted. On the 7th day of what was supposed to be a simple conquest, Lieutenant Colonel Steve Hayes walked into the Vortanian Command Center. Unlike the previous humans Zethkar had met, Steve showed no fear, no anger, no desperation. He looked like a man who had already won a war and was just finishing the paperwork. Commander Zethkar, Steve said with a polite nod. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Hayes, Earth Defense Command. We need to talk. Zethkar noticed the words, Earth Defense Command, and felt a chill. 7 days ago, there had been no such organization. You wish to negotiate surrender terms? Steve laughed, and it was not a bitter or desperate sound, it was genuinely amused. Commander, I think there's been a misunderstanding. You're not winning this war. You've already lost it. You just don't know it yet. The alien commander's 4 hands slammed on the table. Impossible. We control every military base we attacked. We have superior technology and training. Do you? Steve asked, pulling out a tablet. Let me show you what's really happening. The tablet displayed a global map with red and blue markers. The red dots show where your forces landed 7 days ago. You're right, you control all those locations, but look at the blue dots. Zethkar stared at the map. For every red dot, there were dozens of blue ones surrounding it. What are those? Human military production facilities, Steve explained. Weapons factories, research laboratories, training camps, communication centers. 7 days ago, most of these didn't exist. We built them specifically to fight you. Steve swiped to the next screen. Here's something interesting. Do you see these numbers? That's how many humans are now dedicated to military research and production. 43 million people, Commander. Scientists, engineers, factory workers, programmers, all working on one project. What project? Zethkar asked, though he was beginning to fear the answer. Learning how to kill Vortanians, Steve said simply. You've become humanity's greatest research opportunity. We've studied your technology, your tactics, your biology, your psychology. We know more about your species now than you probably know about yourselves. Steve activated a video display showing factories around the world. Massive production lines were creating weapons, armor, and vehicles at incredible speed. This is what happens when you give humans a clear enemy and unlimited motivation. We don't just fight wars, Commander, we industrialize them. The alien leader watched in growing horror as the video showed the scale of human preparation. This is impossible. No species can organize this quickly. Most species can't, Steve agreed. But most species didn't evolve by surviving constant extinction events. When humans face a threat to our survival, we don't panic, we mobilize. Every human on Earth now considers your empire a direct threat to their children's future. Steve showed him another video, this one from research laboratories. We've been dissecting your technology, Commander. Your energy weapons, your armor, your communication systems. We understand how they all work. More importantly, we've found ways to make them better. The video showed human scientists testing improved versions of Vortanian weapons. Energy rifles that fired faster and hit harder. Armor that was lighter but stronger. Communication systems that couldn't be jammed. But that's not the scary part, Steve continued. The scary part is what we've created specifically to fight you. The next video made Zethkar's blood run cold. Weapons that seemed designed by nightmares. Electromagnetic pulse bombs that could disable Vortanian technology from miles away. Biological agents tailored to attack alien physiology. Spacecraft bristling with weapons that had been built in less than a week. How? Zethkar whispered. Because you made one crucial mistake, Steve explained. You assumed humans would fight like every other species you've conquered. You expected us to be logical, to surrender when faced with superior force. Instead, you encountered a species that has spent its entire existence learning how to defeat superior enemies. Steve pulled up another display showing casualty reports. Your initial invasion force of 1,000 warriors. 612 are dead. The rest are trapped in bases surrounded by humans who know exactly how to kill them. Your conquest has become a detailed study in Vortanian vulnerabilities. The alien commander stared at the numbers in disbelief. Our main fleet will arrive soon. 50,000 warriors with heavy weapons and battleships. We know, Steve said calmly. We've been tracking your fleet since day 2. We're looking forward to their arrival. Looking forward? Zethkar couldn't hide his confusion. Steve smiled, and it was the most terrifying expression the alien had ever seen. Commander, you've given us the greatest gift possible. You've shown us that we're not alone in the universe, and that there are other species who want to destroy us. Do you have any idea how motivating that is for humans? The tablet showed images of space-based weapons platforms being rapidly constructed in Earth's orbit. Your fleet will arrive to find that Earth is no longer a primitive world with simple weapons. They'll find a planet that has been turned into the largest military fortress in this part of the galaxy. Steve swiped to the next image. Massive railguns, being built on the moon, space-based missile platforms, and swarms of small attack craft that could overwhelm larger ships through sheer numbers. 7 days, Commander. In 7 days, humans have gone from a single planet species to a space-based military power. Your invasion didn't conquer us, it evolved us. Zethkar felt something that no Vortanian had ever experienced: absolute terror. This cannot be real. Oh, but it gets worse, Steve continued. You see, we've also been studying your navigation systems. We know where your homeworlds are. We know how many Vortanians exist. We know which planets support your empire. The final image showed star charts with Vortanian worlds marked in red. 47 worlds in your empire, supporting a population of approximately 12 billion Vortanians. Very impressive. It must have taken you centuries to build such a vast civilization. Steve looked directly into Zethkar's eyes. Commander, humans have decided that your species represents an ongoing threat to our survival. We've learned from history that the only way to permanently end such a threat is to make sure it can never threaten us again. You cannot mean... Zethkar began. Total extinction, Steve confirmed. Every Vortanian world, every military base, every colony, every ship, every individual member of your species. We're going to hunt you across the galaxy until there are no Vortanians left to threaten any human child ever again. The alien commander collapsed into his chair. That is genocide. No civilized species would... Commander, Steve interrupted. You just tried to commit genocide against humanity. You declared war on a species that has survived multiple extinction events. Did you really think we would respond with anything less than the complete extinction of the threat? Steve began, packing up his equipment. Your fleet will arrive in 3 days. We'll destroy them completely, and then we'll take their ships and use them to visit your homeworlds. This conversation is being broadcast to every Vortanian ship in your fleet, by the way. We want them to know what's coming. As Steve walked toward the door, he paused. Commander, you should know that humanity is grateful to you. Before your invasion, we were divided, fighting among ourselves, wasting our potential on petty conflicts. You've given us something we never had before, a common enemy and a clear purpose. He turned back one final time. Your species spent centuries conquering 47 worlds, impressive. But you made one mistake. You tried to conquer the 48th world, and that world was populated by humans. Now your empire will become a lesson that we teach our children about what happens to species that threaten humanity's survival. Steve left the command center, leaving Zethkar alone with the terrible knowledge of what his simple conquest had unleashed. In trying to add one more world to the Vortanian Empire, he had accidentally created humanity's transition from a planetary species to a galactic predator. And the first item on humanity's agenda was the complete extinction of every Vortanian in the universe.